Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the Sun square or opposition Jupiter in Synastry. Now, first off, you have the basic character, which is the Sun of one person, not really being in agreement or compatible with what the Jupiter person is enthusiastic and optimistic about, and their philosophies and beliefs as well. There's likely to be, disagreements and disputes as far as that goes. If Jupiter person has their Jupiter in Aquarius as an example, those philosophies and beliefs can be, rather, unconventional, unorthodox. They may be connected with astrology as some examples. And the thing about it is, the Sun person, may see the Jupiter person, as excessively reckless, extravagant, even self-righteous. And the Jupiter person, may have, difficulty, you know, expressing, benevolence and goodwill toward the Sun person, whether it's, just simply, an issue that's connected with compatibility, or it's a time factor, say, if this is like, an actual relationship situation, like a significant other scenario. It could be, like a time, restraints or something, or, either the Jupiter person may be involved and embroiled in other activities, which is preventing him or her from expressing as much benevolence and goodwill toward the Sun person as he or she would actually like to do. Um, and the thing about this synastry aspect too is that the Sun person, may have very great, grandiose, expectations of the Jupiter person. The Jupiter person may not always come through for the Sun person. So, if you have this aspect in synastry, it's important to be careful and prudent regarding what you anticipate and expect the Jupiter person to do for you. And the Jupiter person, may perceive the Sun person as somebody that's overly egocentric. It could be bombastic, or even just overly engrossed in doing what he or she wants to do. And the Sun person, may see the Jupiter person as somebody, that's overly, optimistic about doing things and unrealistic. Let's say if the Jupiter person has their Jupiter in Aries as an example, it could be some endeavors connected, with the military or firefighting or even pioneering. If, the entrepreneurship, if the Jupiter person wants to do, be an entrepreneur, for example, the Sun person may think that the Jupiter person is rather, just being overly optimistic and not being realistic in terms of what, he or she can actually attain. And the thing about this is, the Sun person, the Jupiter person may expect the Sun person to do too much, which can have, an adverse effect on the vitality of the Sun person. The synastry aspect, can indicate, sometimes a prodigious amount of overindulgence, gluttony. The Sun person may be opposed to the Jupiter, again, Jupiter persons, their beliefs, their philosophies. I'll use another example. Let's say the Jupiter person has their Jupiter in Capricorn. Those beliefs and philosophies, may be tied in, to politics, or they may be, perceived as overly conventional or orthodox. And the Jupiter person, they're, as far as the truth, speaking the truth, being veracious, that may adversely affect the Sun person's ego. Now, the thing about this is, I've talked about this in previous videos. I've stated in my earlier videos, on the natal placements, and that, don't, isolate any one, single, astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person astrologically speaking, because the person is the sum of all their components in the chart, not just one. And synastry, it applies as well. I mean, you have often in synastry charts, you're going to have a plethora of aspects. You're going to, one aspect doesn't make or break a relationship, and this is certainly, is no exception. The Sun square or opposition Jupiter in synastry, this can show, the differences, in certain beliefs and philosophies. But let's say that, you have, for example, the Jupiter, one person's Jupiter is made, let's say the same people that have the Sun square opposition Jupiter, in synastry, they have Jupiter sextile or trine Jupiter in synastry. Now that could offset this a little bit. There may be more, harmony in terms of one's beliefs or philosophies, or even if Jupiter is sextile or trine Venus in synastry, that could show the enjoyment, the Venus person, the love of that person's beliefs, the Jupiter person's beliefs and opinions, philosophies, or what have you. So you have to look at the whole, picture when you're looking at, these synastry aspects. And the thing about this is, this is something, I'm not, the Sun square opposition Jupiter by itself is obviously an adverse, aspect in synastry, and it could show certain conflicts on beliefs. And the Sun, the Sun person may not be, in agreement even with the Jupiter person's religion. There's a good chance that the Jupiter person may actually even be, in some, have some different religious belief, if any, in contrast to what the Sun person believes. And also, the Sun person has to guard, against being overly domineering, because the Jupiter person, can be about freedom and wanting to, expand their horizons, branch out, travel abroad. And the Sun person, has to be careful not to be overly, being that dominant personality and trying to say, okay, you can't, do this, especially like if this is in like a marriage, significant other situation. And the thing is, too, the Jupiter person may be, overly, enthusiastic and exuberant about, what the Sun person is going to do for him or her, as far as the, the actions go, and the energy that's going to be expended on him or her. The Sun is also, connected with creative energy. And, the Jupiter person, for whatever reason, may not have the belief, whatever the Sun person is trying to express creatively, they may not be in agreement in it. They may not be, overly optimistic regarding that, or maybe or maybe they're too optimistic in regarding what the Sun person is going to do as far as creative energy goes. If the person has the Sun in Libra, it could be something connected with like art, or fashion design, home decoration, something that could be Libra related, even scales in some cases, because scales are hard connected, with Libra, like the Jenga game, the game of balance with those blocks. But anyway, what most of you, I'm sure, have heard of that game. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.